A guten night of Shabbos, dear friends. My Zayda would tell the following story. In Petersburg, where he lived, there was a very choshev Yid. He was the son-in-law of the Rogatchover Gaon. He was called the Boider Rav. I don't remember the name. He was a brilliant fellow, and he would learn Bechavrutz in the Beis Medrash with the grandfather of Rabbi Yochanan, Reb Fola Khan's father, Reb Sholem Ber Khan. And he said once they had an argument, and this guy was apparently like a tough character, this Boider Rav. He was misnagid. And they had an argument. It was Rashi, Toisves, Rash Barosh, Ktzos, Nasivas. But they couldn't, they were butting heads. And finally, the Boider Rav screams, "Ah! I wouldn't come to your funeral. Ich will verdammt Lavaye nicht gehen." So the Rabbi Khan smiles with a twinkle in his eye, says, "Dafke fa'aya Levaya velech kimmen." For your Levaya, Dafke, I'll come. And my Zayda would always laugh and say, you know what? That's exactly what happened. This Choshev Yid passed away, and the communists, they had a big problem with Chabad, Lubavitch, because they were learning Torah secretly with children. I mean, they didn't care if a few Alta Lamdonim are just going to finish living off their life, learning a little Ktsas and Nasivis in the Beis Medrash. They didn't want, they should build mikvahs, and they should build chadorim, a younger generation. So, because so they wanted to show, because he was not Chabad, that they respect religion, and he had a very choshev Levaya, and he was a choshev Yid. Everyone came, and Verstetzach, his Chavrusa was there. In this week's Parsha, it says a simple pasuk: Loi samid al dam reyecha. Don't stand on your friend's blood. It would seem that it doesn't need interpretation or explanation. If you see your friend in danger, save him. Save his life. I mean, obviously it doesn't mean that chas v'sholom don't step, if there's a little blood in this, that you shouldn't step on it. So the Rashi explains. Rashi says, "Lidos b'misasoi ve'ata yochel lahatziloi." To see him die and you can save him. It's self-explanatory. Obviously, if you could see him. If you don't see him, you don't know about it. You don't know about it. There's nothing you could do. And then and you could save him. And if you can't save him, you can't save him. How could there be a mitzvah about that? What is Rashi trying to explain? And what is Rashi trying to bring out? You know, the Frierdiker Rebbe used to say, a slap, unfortunately, is in the face. So, Acharei-Kedoshim, as we say in this week's Parsha, Acharei-Kedoshim. And there is so many of our dear friends and people that we admire who had gone. But I want to focus on one very special person, a very young man, a shliach, the shliach in Hanover who passed away from this coronavirus. There was an audio going around of one of the Rosh Yeshivas in the immediate yeshiva, Rabbi Meir Sternbach. And he starts a shir about Kinyan Kesef. And the first 15 minutes of the shir he dedicated to this shliach. Apparently there was a Talmud in the yeshiva that needed a complicated brain surgery. And this Rosh Yeshiva went with him to Hanover in Germany, which has a unique hospital, a building that was built in the shape of a brain. And the shliach helped him in a tremendous way, and he was very impressed with the shliach. With he was a character, a compelling character, full of energy and a lot of enthusiasm, and he is a very charismatic person. He has connections with the government. He works from morning to night. He has shiurim and he's building up a community. But he says in his house, he's living in a block which is not such a nice part of town. Immigrants from Arab countries. There is cops guarding his house 24 hours a day. You hear Judah on the street. He says the anti-Semitism is palpable in the streets of Hanover. And the livelihood is not so The shliach, how's he gonna? It's very hard to make a living and to pay the bills. So Rabbi Sternbach says, I asked the shliach a question. You're so charismatic and you're so talented. You could be Marbitz Torah in Eretz Yisrael. You'll have hundreds of people that'll lick the honey off your fingers. Why are you here in Hanover? And it says Rabbi Sternbach that I got the 4-minute Musa Shmuas of my life. The Shliach said, Yiskadal v'yiskada Shmei Rabba. If there's a Yid that doesn't know the Shmei Rabba of the Eibishter, and no one else will bother to tell him about Shmei HaGadol from the Eibishter, it's my responsibility to teach him Shmei Rabba. And there is a lot of Yidden in Hanover, and they needed a Shliach. So that was my mission, to make Yiskadal v'yiskada Shmei Rabba. So the Bitcha Meir Sternbach said, even though it says to Talmidim, even though you know, I'm not a big supporter and a fan of Chabad, but this was the greatest Musa Shmuas I've ever gotten. In fact, I had a very sweet encounter with the Shliach. There was a morning in the summer where I was out of town, and I went to daven at the Minyan the Shliach. After davening, the Shliach asked me if we can talk. It was about a favor for a Yid. After I left the Chabad house and the shul, in the car, a Shliach called me from Colorado. So I'm in Bangor, Maine. The Shliach calls me from Colorado. And when I get back to the hotel, as soon as I get back, Binyamin Wolf calls me from Hanover. And such a sweet character. I never met him, and as if we knew each other, and as if we were best friends. He made a Baal Tshuva, and there was a couple. He's a scientist, and she's a doctor. And they were traveling. They were looking about where to move. They couldn't continue living in Hanover. They wanted a community. The success of the Shliach was like a boomerang to him. So finally he made a couple, a full Balei Tshuva with a beard and a hat and a kapota. But now he's looking for a community to live in. We hosted him here. He was in Beis Menachem Mendel. No one might remember him because he just blended into the crowd. You wouldn't know that he is an esteemed scientist, and his wife is a doctor. She came to daven. He came to daven. They looked like Lubavitch Chassidim. These are fruits from Harav Wolf, Reb Binyamin Wolf. There is one of the greatest lights in Chassidus, one of the greatest masters of Chassidus, is the Toldos Yakov Yosef, Rabbi Yakov Yosef of Pulnoa. It recently came to my attention. It was a Yutas Kislev Fabrengen, and we brought Rabbi Tversky to Fabreng, and we go back. I mean, my maternal grandfather and great-grandfather were Choshev Chassidim. So he showed me that there was a book, Shufred Rabbi Yochanan, my namesake. There is a chapter about my great-grandfather. Apparently, they were grandchildren from the Toldos Yakov Yosef, Rabbi Yaakov Yosef Polnoa, who was one of the prize Talmidim of the Heilige Baal Shem Tov. Now, I love the story about Rabbi Yaakov Yosef of Polnoa, because Rabbi Yaakov Yosef was a staunch misnagid. Not only that, but the story was that Rabbi Yaakov Yosef Polnoa, when he was a child, he was brilliant. They said stories when he was 5 years of age. He asked his Rabbi when they were learning Chumash, by Makas Bored, it says, "B'tzeisi Sa'ir, I will leave the city, and that's where I will pray." Rashi said, because in the city he can't pray, because it's Malaya Gilulim full of Avodah Zarah. So the little boy asked, "What's with Dam, Tzvardeya, Kinim, Orev over there?" He prayed in the city. It's full of Avodah Zarah. So the Rabbi said, "I don't know an answer. What do you say, Yosala?" So Rabbi Yaakov Yosef said, "I don't know. I think I have a pshat. The Avodah Zarah of the Mitzri were the cattle. And by Bored it says, Hayorez Dvar Hashem v'heinis es mikner labotim, that those that feared God, they believed that God is going to bring this makkah. So they brought the cattle out of the field back into the city, into the house. So usually the city wasn't full of Avodah Zarah. But today, when there was Makkah's Bored, this city was filled with the cattle, and that's the Avodah Zarah. A brilliant child. This guy was a Goan Otzim. At his young age, he was the Rov in Sharigrad. He would daven in the morning by Neitzachama, and one day he comes to shul at Neitzachama, and there's no minyan. He calls the shamish, "Was geshen?" Apparently, a person dressed like a simple Jew came into the marketplace in the morning, and he got up on a crate and he started telling stories to Yidden. Yidden were on the way to shul, but they were mesmerized by his stories, and everyone's standing and listening to his stories. Was? A Yidem, Mevatel Yidem von Tfilas, man, Tfilas, Netzach Hamel. He davened B'Yechidas that morning, and then he sent to Shamish, go bring the gentleman here. He needs to get Malchus. He needs to get whipped for this. Well, they brought him to the Bezdin Shtibel, and as the Baal Shem Tov was dragged in, because this simpleton was the Baal Shem Tov, as this simpleton was dragged in, there was a Yid that came, and he says to Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, I don't know what to do. I can't pay the bills, and it's so painful. I work all day and all night. I know the Gemara says in the end of Kedoshim, because my actions were not good, therefore my parnasa is lacking. But Rebbe was lichton. So sagt Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, where's the emphasis here? Where's the emphasis? In the Gemara, the emphasis is Masai. But your emphasis is Kipachti es parnasosi.